Hey guys, what's up? Public back with another video, and today we're coming at you with more Shadow changes. I feel like I've made this video like 5 times already, but there have been more changes posted to Shadow in the coming weeks that warranted bringing up another video. Some of these guys are actually really substantial to how we play. I've talked about some of them already, but let's go over everything that's changed with Shadow in the past couple weeks and talk about why these are honestly pretty awesome. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so first things first, I've already kind of covered this, but Devouring Plague is now rolling. So the damage that you do inside of Devouring Plague is now, basically you can't lose damage. So before, if you already had Devouring Plague dot on your target, you cast a Devouring Plague again, you would lose all of that dot damage that was left on the old dot. But now that's no longer a thing, so I like to call those rolling. So Devouring Plague is now rolling the damage over of the ticks that haven't happened yet over to the new dot. Is the easiest way to explain it. So effectively, you're not losing damage when you recast Devouring Plague. That's the goal with the spell. Still a little buggy. There's still a lot of quirks with the spell, but that's what's supposed to happen. If you want more details, I actually just did a video about this not too long ago, so check that out if you want more information. There's still lots of bugs, but I'm sure they'll get those worked out. Now, in addition to that change, they actually pulled the trigger here and they removed old Shadow Priest. So the way Shadow played inside of Legion, inside of BFA, the way we were interacting with Void Form and Stacks and Insanity Drain, that was actually reworked completely going into Shadowlands, but they actually left a small part of how that worked inside of a talent called Legacy of the Void. Well, with this build, Legacy of the Void is officially gone, meaning that build no longer exists. It's not, you cannot play that way anymore. It's gone. So instead, they've opted to create a new talent for, I think, all the right reasons. I think in a world where we have Devouring Plague rolling its damage over, I don't think Legacy of the Void quite made sense anymore. It's probably either going to be a situation where it's either too good or not good enough. They could have kept iterating on it to get into a sweet spot, but I think it would have taken probably too much time than we actually had before the game comes out, so they decided to rework it to something a bit more manageable in terms of tuning knobs. So what we have in its place is called Hungering Void. So this talent, like I said, replaces Legacy of the Void on the talent tree, and here's what it does. Your second Void Bolt cast on the same target will deal 25% more damage right now. The damage might change. And then cause the target to receive 15% more damage from you for some period of time. I'm not quite sure what the buff duration is. So that second Void Bolt does more damage, puts a debuff on the target where they take more damage. And then it also extends Void Form's duration by 1 second. And then if that Void Bolt critically strikes, your Void Form's then extended by 1 second, right? So there's a lot going on here. The talent can do a lot of different things, but effectively what it's saying is it wants to put more meaning behind your Void Bolts inside of Void Form. It's definitely going to be that kind of priority target damage where, sure, you can have your dots on everything, but whatever target you're Void Bolting is going to be taking more damage. So this definitely feels like that priority target, single target talent when you kind of compare that to what we have with Ancient Madness, which is just, you know, baseline crit, or Surrender to Madness, which is another Void Form, basically. So I think it comfortably fits into that single target niche, which I think is good for this talent, which is good to have an option for that. The only question is, how exactly does this work? Unfortunately, by the time I made this video, the beta build did come up, and I didn't see this getting added to the build. So hopefully once this gets added, you know, I'll be able to rework and kind of talk about how the talent works specifically in an upcoming video, so look for that coming soon. But honestly, this is very intriguing. I'm really curious, one, how long that debuff of extra damage lasts, and then, you know, does this, it's all about this second Void Bolt, right? So does that mean every other Void Bolt in Void Form, or every Void Bolt after the first? Not quite sure. We'll kind of see what they decide to do here, but yeah, the big TLDR here is that old Shadow is now gone. We have this in its place. Excited to see what this looks like, but yeah, we have a new big talent, so we'll see how this plays. Also, another big change here was that Dissonant Echoes, that Void Bolt conduit, did get buffed in this build, which does have considerable synergy with this. Hopefully they fix the bug with Dissonant Echoes right now where, you know, you're only getting that proc of Void Bolt when Void Bolt hits your target, not when you cast Void Bolt. So small change they can make there to really make this have like a nice Void Bolt, Void Form priority target playstyle. So I think having that as another build, yet another build in our toolkit is going to be pretty awesome going into Shadowlands, all right? So that's Hungering Void. Look for more info coming out about that soon. In addition, we also got buffed to a few other conduits. So Haunting Apparitions, Mind Devour also got buffed, or like kind of tweaks in their damage pattern. So we'll have to do some sims kind of going forward to see how these conduits change up our gameplay, maybe influence some of our Covenant decisions. But for now, just to let you know, they are reworking some of those numbers. They also changed a bit of how Fey Guardian's conduit works, which is Fey Fermata. So before, that was just kind of like blanket, just giving you extra duration of Fey Guardians. They've now changed that to where you actually get kind of like a diminishing effect when you move your fairy. So they're trying to incentivize you, I think specifically from a healing perspective, to like actually move the fairy around a little bit. So when you actually move a fairy, it stays where it was, or it gets some kind of like lower effectiveness here. This just doesn't actually mean anything for Shadow specifically. There's not really a whole lot of ways we can play around this. Although, you know, technically we can kind of spread our Wrathful Fairy, which is the Insane Generation Fairy, across several targets. Although that's really not going to do a whole lot for us. So we'll see if this conduit makes a whole lot of sense. It might be interesting, I think. But honestly, for Shadow, this is probably going to mean, you know, that conduit slot gets freed up. You can put another Shadow-specific conduit in there instead. Probably not good enough to warrant over Haunting Apparitions or, you know, Rabid Shadows, that kind of thing, Mind Devour. So we'll see there. Another big change that we had, and this is the last one in the build. So Void Torrent has now been nerfed, and I'm assuming this is because they reworked Devouring Plague. We knew this was coming, right? So Void Torrent before was actually refreshing Devouring Plague every tick of Void Torrent over the course of that channel. Obviously, that would be brokenly overpowered with the new rolling Devouring Plague, right? Imagining every tick being a new Devouring Plague where you're rolling those ticks over, it would have just been massive amounts of damage and probably hard to tune that. So, because of that, they changed it. So now, Void Torrent still works the same way on Shadowed Pain, Vampiric Touch. Looks like the damage is still the same as well. But now with Devouring Plague, it simply just refreshes Devouring Plague a single time. That's it. It just recasts Devouring Plague once. So you still get that rolled Devouring Plague, you know, quote unquote, for free, but that's it. Honestly, I'm very disappointed in this change. I think we all knew Void Torrent had to get tweaked or changed because of this, but honestly, this is not the way to go. I think they need to rethink what Void Torrent's really used for, because at this point, if you put Void Torrent and Damnation side by side, there's clearly very little difference between them. One's just a channel that does some damage, the other one does everything else instant. And doesn't, you know, keep refreshing or anything, but they're just so similar. The overlap of where they make sense is now, it's so close together. I don't know why we have both of these talents. If anything, Damnation should probably stay, because I know the PvPers love that as an option. So I don't know, they really need to give Void Torrent here a real thinking, especially considering if it's a single target option, it's directly competing with Mindbender in a lot of situations, and now Mindbender is also an AoE option with the Shadowflame Prism Legendary. So yeah, they need some help here. I don't know what exactly they can do, but this is not going to be it, guys, but we'll see what happens. All right, so that is the bulk of the changes that we've seen so far in this build. As of recording, again, I'm still waiting for the beta servers to come up and see if anything changes. Just know that I will be doing a future video on Hungering Void, our new level 50 talent, specifically coming soon, so look for that. I do want to also call out, unfortunately in this build, there really were no other Covenant ability changes here. I know we were kind of thinking that maybe the Necrolord Unholy Nova was going to get a change. We did see something kind of pop up. So it does seem like they do have our Covenant abilities on the radar, but they haven't yet pulled the trigger on making any substantial changes there yet. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens and keep giving feedback. Alright guys, and before I end this video, I just want to give a very special thanks to all the amazing people that have joined my Patreon. I'm so thankful to all of you guys. I've gotten way more than I'd ever thought I'd get, and I'm very appreciative to all of you guys that have signed up. I'm going to put the names of the people in here that have donated to that one of the top levels. Again, very appreciate the time, guys. I'm still bringing all the same content to everyone out there, but this is giving me a much better avenue to make the right kinds of content that people want to see, rather than just kind of hashing out videos for the sake of doing videos. So I hope you guys can see the kind of change in content. Hopefully this supports me enough to keep doing these videos as we move into Shadowlands itself. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.